going on, friends? Harley-Davidson CVO motorcycles are the things dreams are made of for a lot of riders. They throw pretty much everything they've got in the catalog at these motorcycles. Yes, they're exclusive. Yes, they're expensive. And this is where a lot of the problems can start. And honestly, owning a CVO can be somewhat of a headache. Did I mention expensive? Harley-Davidson just released their first CVO motorcycle for the 2023 model year, and this bike is clocking in right at about $52,000. Now keep in mind, this is before you add dealer fees, tag, tax, and title, or not to mention even any other accessories you want to throw in with it. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a little over the top for me. Well, actually, that's way over the top. But obviously, that's the first problem with the CVO, is that they're just absolutely ridiculously off the chain expensive. Now, the one good thing about a CVO is that they do relatively hold their value. And the other good thing about a CVO is on the used market, yes, they do command more than your standard Harley-Davidson, but they are ridiculously cheaper than what the brand new ones are. And not to mention, it doesn't matter what model year you get a lot of really nice accessories on these bikes. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with a used CVO, even an older one. But here's the problem. The older CVOs are going to have the same issues that the newer CVOs are going to have. Guys, please don't forget, if you enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. So no matter if it's a new or used CVO, there's some things you're going to want to be aware of. Whether it's brand new or used, they're both going to present some ownership challenges and some things that you'd probably rather not run into. Now, of course, anybody that can afford a $52,000 motorcycle probably isn't going to be too concerned about what I'm going to show you today. But theoretically, there's about 1,500 people that's willing to throw down $52,000 and go out and buy one of these brand new CVO motorcycles, and this is where our first issue begins. The challenge with the CVOs is exclusivity. There are not many of these made. They are limited production, limited numbers, and this right here is what's going to lead it to your first problem, when this first problem is going to lead into the next problem that I'm going to show you a little later in the video. The first issue with owning a CVO is the paint. That is the biggest part of the motorcycle, is the paint, and it's also one of our biggest issues. These motorcycles are actually not painted in-house by Harley-Davidson, but whether these paint jobs are actually contracted out to some serious professional paint shops that could really get this just exactly what Harley-Davidson was looking for. And not to mention, Harley-Davidson contracting out these really trick paint jobs, this isn't just on the CVOs. Those really high dollar exclusive like tin sets that they sell in limited numbers, where you could get bags, fairings, tanks, whatever your bike is, you replace all the tins with some fresh custom painted tins. Those are not done in-house as well, so it's the same situation. They're contracted out, they're painted in limited numbers, and that's really all that's available. These are seriously produced in limited numbers, so if your bike or paint set is labeled 425 out of 1500, that's exactly what it is. It's the 425th one out of 1500. Now imagine somebody backs into your motorcycle and crunches your front fender. I've seen it happen. In fact, I watched it happen in the parking lot at a Harley-Davidson dealer. This poor guy, unfortunately, had a limited edition paint set. And guess what? They didn't make that paint set anymore. And guess why they didn't make that paint set anymore? That specific paint set was a limited edition, numbered, so there was only X amount made, and it's basically discontinued, your SOL. Now, a very wise decision is, if you own a CVO or you have one of these limited edition paint sets, take as many high quality, detailed photos of it as you possibly can from all different angles. Because chances are, if something happens to your gas tank, your fenders, anything happens to that paint, you're not going to be able to order a set that's already painted from the factory. You're going to have to go out and find a really skilled painter that can match that as close as possible. And the more photos that you can provide to them to show them what you're needing, the better off you're going to be. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, my paint got crunched. I'll just do something else with the motorcycle. Well, on a CVO, that's a really big mistake. Because as I mentioned, the CVO's biggest thing starts with the paint. And if you go and change that paint into a custom paint job on it, you've just detracted away from the value of that CVO motorcycle, because that CVO's VIN number tells everything about it, what it should have on it. And then suddenly you've just taken away the biggest part of what made that bike's value, which was the paint set. Now, CVO motorcycles are really strange. It's not just the paint that can detract from the value of the motorcycle. By just changing the paint, you can really kill your resale. But it's not just the paint, it's anything else you do to the bike. Changing the exhaust, removing the fairing, removing the windshield, maybe the tour packs missing off of it. All these things will detract from the resale value of your CVO motorcycle. Now, if you know that and you're going out looking for a CVO and you find one that, say, has got the exhaust changed on it, they don't have the original, the tour pack's missing, the fairing's missing on it, maybe the original windshield's missing, you can use this as a really big bargaining chip to try to get that price down for you. Now, obviously, if you own a CVO, you can do whatever you want to it. That's your right, you own the motorcycle. But I would highly recommend saving all your stock parts, keep them in good condition, just in case if you ever decide to sell that bike one day, you can provide the stock parts with it. Well, I say stock parts, everything on a CVO isn't necessarily stock per se. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Now, let's just take the exhaust on a CVO motorcycle, for example, especially the touring bikes. Some years they had special colors that matched the engine. And also the mufflers, yes, they're Screamin' Eagle mufflers, but they're the CVO version of the mufflers. The issue with changing the exhaust on it is you're not going to necessarily be able to find that special granite color in the aftermarket. You're either going to have to go with chrome or black, which that's fine. But still save those stock parts, because when you go to sell that, generally most people that are looking for a CVO, they really want them as is, the way they came off the showroom floor. And the reason why I say that is because just the stock exhaust on those touring bikes for those years, they had that granite color in them, that exhaust system's actually pretty valuable. And that can really add or detract from the bike depending on whether you have it or not, or even if it's in good condition. Harley-Davidson CVO motorcycles are absolutely beautiful. If I could afford one, I would own one myself. But given the limited numbers and the exclusivity, it would almost be somewhat stressful to own and ride. I mean, you absolutely get the entire accessory catalog thrown at these motorcycles, and it's honestly tastefully done. And depending on what year you get, you're getting the Screamin' Eagle 110, a 114, or a 117 engine. You do get a better set of heads, larger displacement, and a different cam, but you don't get the rest of the Screamin' Eagle goodies. Pretty much everything in the bottom end is pretty much stock. So yes, you do have the heads. They're not exactly Screamin' Eagle ported heads, they're the CVO heads. They are a little better than stock, but they're not exactly the ported heads. So just bear that in mind. Cam, heads, displacement, but everything in the bottom end is all straight production, just like the special sitting next to it on the floor. Guys, I really hope I gave you some things to think about if you're looking at a new or used CVO motorcycle. They're absolutely beautiful bikes. I mean, don't be scared of them, but if you do own one, please do take the time to take a lot of detailed pictures of it and save those back, because you never know when you might need them. And unfortunately, if you do, it'll be a huge game changer when it comes to the repair process. Guys, please don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video today, and let me know in the comments if you guys have had any experience with damaged paint on a CVO or a limited edition paint set. Were you able to find a painter to actually get that taken care of? Did you find a used set? I mean, did you get lucky and find one that wasn't purchased that was still at a dealer somewhere? But until next week, guys, ride smart, dodge those cars, stay safe on the streets, and I'll catch you guys back here next week with a brand new video. Thanks for watching.